This video's gonna contain spoilers from the off, so I'm warning you now. The ending of this episode gave me that feeling that I've been searching for with the show for several weeks now. I just love it when the reveal happens. Titled Escape from Planet Klongo, this episode was the first in the series to not be named after an actual real-life movie, but it was named after a fictional movie in the world of Only Murders in the Building that Ron Howard was directing. With us actually finding out who the killer of Sazz Pataki was, and also what their motive was, Mabel is in grave danger as the suspected killer was right in front of her on her bed. However, let's remember, there are two suspects and the show has only revealed one to us. So with that, let's break down the episode and discuss all that there was to take away from it, as well as look at theories on who the counterpart could be. Here is Only Murders in the Building Season 4 Episode 9, Ending Explained. The Ending Explained. This episode was set within two different time periods, as we saw clues of who the stuntman was that was said to be Sazz's protege. The ending of the previous episode led us to believe that it was going to be Glenn Stubbins, but we soon found out that he was actually brought in to replace the stuntman that was originally in the movie Project Ronkonkoma. It turned out that the original stuntman was somebody called Rex Bailey, who we know as the writer that Bev hired called Marshall. But could there be a twist there? We know that this season has been focused on pairs and identical twins, so could Rex actually be a twin of Marshall? It's a theory for now, but we'll get to that in the next section. Sazz met Rex by a chance encounter when she hit him with her car, and from there she got him into the stunt double world. He happened to be walking past the studio and was in LA because he wanted to pursue a career as a writer. After he did this first stunt, we saw that the fire that was on him wasn't extinguished properly, and he was caught in a blaze as he went to show Ron Howard a script that he was working on. The moment Ron peeled off his fake eyebrows in the restaurant with Oliver and Charles, it became so clear who it was going to be. This is because Marshall used that exact thing for his beard that he stuck on a couple of episodes back in episode 5. Bev mentioned earlier on in the episode that everything that Marshall was putting forward to her when it came to the rewrites of the movie were trash and were nowhere near as good as the original script. When Marshall went to Mabel's apartment to get close to her, he did that so he could try and truly understand her voice when writing the character. It turned out that all of the rewrites were trash because Marshall never actually wrote the Only Murders in the Building script. Sazz did. It was her idea to make it into a movie. I'm guessing that on the night that Sazz wanted to tell Charles something important, she wanted to tell him about the movie that she'd written. A movie that was about the trio that she was going to put forward to Hollywood to get created. After all, the script was inside the case of beers that she was carrying on that night. This could mean that the research that she was doing wasn't in fact about a murder and her hunch that the trio were in danger, but it could have been research for the script that she was writing in order to make sure that the story was as close to real life as possible. That could be why she wanted to also find out about Dudanoff, because he was a film guy. I think it seems like the motive of Marshall wanting to kill Sazz was because there was a sense of jealousy there. Jealousy because Sazz was about to embark into a career of writing. If you think back to earlier episodes, she mentioned how she wanted out of the game, and her being out of the game could have just meant her transitioning into something that was more behind the scenes, like writing. So with Sazz getting her script greenlit with the first one that she did, Marshall, a lifelong aspiring writer, could have been envious of that and saw it as his opportunity to take the script for himself and land the dream position that he'd always wanted. He also would have had access to the script because it seemed like he was once close with Sazz. That's what I'm predicting anyway. Marshall just came off the back of murdering Glenn, so his hands are still warm. That puts Mabel in a lot of danger. The difference is there are a lot of people that would notice if Mabel didn't get back to them right away. So I doubt he's going to do anything to her, but I imagine he's going to threaten her now that she knows the secret that he didn't write the movie. Who could be the counterpart? So the show has had a heavy focus on there being two people involved in the killings. This is because the trio didn't think that there would be enough time for the killer to get from the West Tower over to the East Tower after killing Sazz to then dispose of the body. Well, I think there are a couple of different solutions to this. The first is that Rex and Marshall are in fact two different people and they're identical twins. There was a focus in the episode of Bev mentioning how the brothers' sisters were identical twins, and I think it's uncanny that they mentioned that in the episode where the killer was actually revealed. This means that there could have been two people that were in on the killing of Sazz that took place. When we go back to episode 5, where there was a shot that was fired into the photo shoot, Marshall was actually present in the room when it went off. This is what makes me think that he might have a brother that works as his accomplice. A brother that could be left-handed, as Marshall is right-handed. The target could have in fact been Glenn as well, because earlier on in that episode, Glenn recognized Marshall as he was brought in to replace him on Ron's movie. So, like with Sazz, he probably wanted to kill him so that he could ensure his connection would never be revealed. There's that, or there's the fact that there are actually 2 killers and one that wants to kill the trio. A theory that could be focused on Marshall actually being the sole killer and operating on his own could be the fact that he's a relatively young and fit individual, and that was the only way that it was said that it would be possible for somebody to have acted alone, for them to have been physically fit enough to move quick enough. Do I think Marshall did it on his own? Personally, I don't think so. The whole season has been focused on doubles, so it wouldn't make sense for that to change right now at the end. I think Marshall might have a brother that he's working closely with. My review of the episode. I thought this was a good episode of the show. When I saw that Glenn was killed, I'm not gonna lie, I sighed a little bit, because I thought it was going to be another killing that was just going to get added to the list that wouldn't get solved until the final episode. However, I was proven wrong. Do I think Marshall being the killer is a red herring? I don't think it is, as we've seen that he did actually kill Glenn. I think the next part of the mystery that we're waiting to be solved is going to be centered around who his accomplice is. Ron Howard made a great cameo appearance in this episode, and he's often a director that isn't afraid of making an appearance on screen, as he featured heavily in the show This Is Us, so it was good to see him pop up on screen again. I thought the reveal at the end of the episode was very satisfying. The episode being split between 2 years ago and the present day was something that really allowed me to get involved in wanting to guess who it could potentially be. Something that I feel the show has been lacking this season, just because it's had a lot to chew on with the several killings and the many suspects that they've been to choose from. But with this episode, it had that engaging feeling that the previous seasons always had. Oliver made me laugh a lot in this episode, especially when he was first talking about Ron. The little laugh that he did and the look of concern that Mabel had, it had me in pieces to the point where I had to go back to it several times. The final episode of the season is going to be centered around Oliver's wedding that's going to be taking place inside of the Arconia. The episode is titled My Best Friend's Wedding, so I wonder if there's going to be any similarity to the plot that occurred in the 1997 movie with the same name. It essentially focuses on a wedding that gets sabotaged, so I think that's most definitely going to happen. I think it'll be a good season finale. There's still a lot to find out, and Mabel is in danger as we speak. Plus, let's also remember, Nikki the Neck got a focus as somebody that was missing on a news report in the background. I wonder if this is the show's way of setting up the next season of the show, as it randomly got a focus and was never mentioned again, so that's something worth keeping an eye on. So, there you have it. Only Murders in the Building Season 4 Episode 9, Ending Explained. If you want to see every episode of Season 4 broken down, then click on the card in the top corner. There's an entire playlist there. Or alternatively, you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What did you think of this episode? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning into the video, and I'll see you in the next one.